Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy. Sunlight came through the Venetian blinds in bright lines, making striped shadows on the walls. The room was calm. A man in a navy blazer sat behind a mahogany desk. A yellow legal pad with his notes sat in front of him. The room smelled like leather and a little bit of vanilla from a candle on a bookshelf. He asked a question, softly, about how a dress made her feel. The woman, wearing a purple cardigan, said it felt like being free. She said it was like finally breathing. He listened, but his thoughts started to drift. It was a sad truth. He helped others on their journeys, but he was on the same path himself. He spoke in a calm voice, hiding his own struggle. He said the feeling was common, something many people share. Many of my clients describe that first moment of authentic expression as transformative. When the session ended and the client left, he locked the door and leaned against it. His calm look disappeared. He looked tired and worn out. Jesus Martinez, a licensed therapist who helped people with gender identity, couldn't stop feeling lost about his own. The drive home took him through suburban streets lined with oak trees. His sister Maria's car sat in the driveway of their shared duplex, she on the left side, he on the right. The arrangement worked well since she traveled frequently for her marketing job. Inside his apartment, he kicked off his brown Oxford shoes and loosened his striped tie. The walls were sparse, decorated only with his diplomas and a few abstract paintings Maria had gifted him. He poured himself a glass of water and stood at the kitchen window, watching neighbors walk their dogs in the fading daylight. His phone buzzed. A text from Maria. "Leaving for Chicago tomorrow morning. Water my plants?" "Sure," he typed back. That night, sleep eluded him. He stared at the ceiling fan's lazy rotation, mind replaying client sessions. Each story of self-discovery and acceptance felt like a mirror, reflecting what he couldn't acknowledge. At 3 a.m, he gave up on sleep and padded to the kitchen for herbal tea. The next day's sessions passed in a blur. A young woman struggling with family acceptance, a middle-aged executive navigating workplace transition. Each story chipped away at his carefully constructed walls. "How do you stay so composed?" his 2 o'clock appointment asked. "You really understand what we're going through?" He offered a practiced smile. "Everyone's journey is unique. I'm here to support yours." But the words felt hollow. That evening, he used Maria's spare key to water her plants. Her apartment mirrored his in layout, but burst with color. Turquoise throw pillows, orange curtains, photographs covering every surface. He moved through the space efficiently, filling the small watering can at her kitchen sink. The bedroom door stood ajar. He hadn't meant to look, but the splash of green visible through the opening caught his eye. Hanging on the closet door was a sundress, emerald green with tiny white flowers embroidered along the hem. His hands trembled as he set down the watering can. The fabric looked soft, inviting. Before rational thought could intervene, he found himself standing before the dress, fingertips barely grazing the material. "Just once," he whispered to the empty room. The dress slipped over his head easily. Maria was only slightly smaller than him, both blessed with their mother's slender build. The fabric fell to mid-thigh, the waistline hitting perfectly. He caught his reflection in the full-length mirror and froze. The person staring back looked right. More right than the professional facade he wore daily. His hands smoothed the fabric over his hips, heart racing with equal parts terror and exhilaration. A pair of white sandals sat by the closet. Without thinking, he slipped them on. They pinched slightly, but were wearable. He took a tentative step, then another, the small heel changing his gait entirely. For 20 minutes, he simply existed in the outfit, moving around Maria's apartment, feeling the dress swish against his legs. Then reality crashed back. He quickly changed, carefully rehung the dress exactly as he'd found it, and fled back to his side of the duplex. That night brought no sleep, only endless replaying of those stolen moments. The memory of green fabric against skin, the surprising comfort of the sandals, the reflection that felt more authentic than 34 years of looking in mirrors. Days passed, sessions continued. He nodded and took notes and offered guidance while his secret pressed against his ribs like a caged bird. Maria returned from Chicago full of stories about client meetings and deep dish pizza. He smiled and listened and didn't mention his trespass. 2 weeks later, Maria left again. Phoenix this time, back Friday. He lasted 1 day. This time he chose a cream-colored blouse and navy skirt from her closet. The blouse had pearl buttons and delicate lace at the collar. He paired it with the same white sandals, growing more comfortable in the slight heel. Standing before the mirror, he experimented with posture, with gesture, with the tilt of his head. Each movement felt like uncovering something buried deep. He stayed dressed for an hour, simply sitting on Maria's couch, experiencing the world from this new perspective. The pattern established itself. Maria traveled, he borrowed. A yellow sundress with cap sleeves, a pink wrap dress that tied at the waist, black flats that fit better than the sandals. Each time lasted longer, each experience peeling back another layer of pretense. He began noticing details during sessions, the way clients' faces lit up when describing their true selves, the confidence that emerged with authentic presentation. Their courage both inspired and shamed him. "My therapist says I'm making excellent progress," one client mentioned. "I wish I could find someone like you, someone who really gets it." The compliment stung. How could he truly understand when he couldn't even admit his truth to himself? 3 months into his secret explorations, everything changed. He'd grown comfortable, perhaps too comfortable. Maria was in Seattle, and he'd spent the entire evening in her green sundress. The first one, still his favorite. He'd even attempted makeup, following YouTube tutorials on his phone. The result was clumsy, but transformative. The knock on the door made his blood freeze. "Jesus, you in there? Saw your car outside?" Maria's voice, muffled through wood. Panic flooded his system. She wasn't supposed to return until tomorrow. He glanced wildly around, calculating the impossibility of changing and removing makeup before she used her key. "Just a minute," he called out, voice pitched higher than intended. The door opened anyway. "Flight got canceled, so I—" Maria stopped mid-sentence, keys dangling from her frozen hand. They stared at each other across the expanse of her living room. Him in her dress, face flushed beneath inexpert foundation. Her in her gray travel suit, mouth slightly open. "I can explain," he began, but the words crumbled. Maria closed the door behind her, set down her silver rolling suitcase, and walked slowly into the room. Her expression cycled through surprise, confusion, and something softer. "The green one always looked better on you anyway," she said finally. The unexpected response broke something open inside him. Tears came then, hot and unstoppable, streaking through the makeup he'd so carefully applied. Maria crossed to the couch and sat beside him, careful not to crowd. "How long? 3 months? The borrowing, the feeling, forever." She nodded as if this made perfect sense. "Remember when we were kids? You always wanted to play dress-up with me and Mom. Dad made such a fuss about it." The memory surfaced. Age 7, twirling in their mother's yellow dress while Maria applied lipstick with the precision of a 4-year-old. Their father's rage, the dress disappearing, the unspoken rule established. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I shouldn't have—" "Worn my clothes without asking? Yeah, that's annoying. We'll discuss boundaries later." She studied him with the analytical gaze inherited from their mother. "But this isn't about my wardrobe, is it?" He shook his head, unable to form words. "So what do we do now?" The question hung between them. He thought of his clients, their brave journeys, their authentic lives. The hypocrisy of guiding others while hiding himself felt suddenly unbearable. "I don't know." Maria squeezed his shoulder. "Well, first things first. That foundation is all wrong for your skin tone. Come on." She led him to her bathroom, its counter cluttered with cosmetics. Under the bright vanity lights, she cleaned his face with gentle efficiency, then began reapplying makeup with skilled hands. "Close your eyes." Brush strokes feathered across his lids. "You have great cheekbones, by the way. Always been jealous." When she finished, the reflection looked polished, natural. The person in the mirror seemed more real than any previous version. "There, Maria stepped back. Now, talk to me. All of it. So he did. Words poured out. The childhood memories, the teenage confusion, the adult compartmentalization. How counseling others illuminated his own darkness. The joy of those stolen moments in her clothes. The fear of losing everything. Maria listened without interrupting, occasionally refilling their wine glasses from the bottle she'd opened. Outside, night deepened, streetlights creating pools of amber on the sidewalk. "What name feels right?" she asked when he finally fell silent. The question startled him. He'd never allowed himself to consider it, but somehow, instantly, he knew. Jolie. "Pretty, I like it." Maria swirled her wine thoughtfully. "You know you can't keep living like this, right? The sneaking around, the hiding. My practice would probably thrive. You think your trans clients don't clock you? Please, I've suspected for years." This revelation stunned him. "You have? The way you light up when shopping with me, how you always touch fabrics when we're in stores, the longing looks at my shoe collection." She smiled softly. "I just figured you'd tell me when you were ready. I might never have been ready. But here we are." She gestured at her current presentation. "So what's next, Jolie?" The name on her lips made it real. Jolie smoothed the green dress over her knees, considering. "I need to tell someone else. Practice saying it out loud. Your mentor? Dr. Reese?" Jolie nodded. Patricia Reese had guided her through graduate school and early practice. If anyone would understand, it would be her. "Call her tomorrow," Maria suggested. "But tonight, we're having a sister's night. I'll order Thai food, and you're keeping that dress. It really does look better on you." They spent the evening talking, laughing, crying. Maria shared her own struggles with identity. Not gender, but the pressure to marry, to have children, to follow the traditional path their parents expected. They discovered new depths to their relationship, honest in ways they'd never been. When Jolie finally returned to her own apartment near midnight, she carried a small bag of clothes Maria had insisted she take. Starter wardrobe, she'd called it. The green dress lay folded on top. The next morning brought a decision. Jolie called in sick to work, not entirely a lie, given the emotional exhaustion. She spent the day researching, reading stories of other late transitioners, finding community online she never knew existed. At 4:00, she dialed Patricia's number. "Jesus, what a pleasant surprise. How are you? I need to talk to you about something. In person, if possible." Patricia's voice shifted to concern. "Of course. Can you come by the house? Robert's at his golf tournament." An hour later, Jolie parked outside Patricia's Tudor-style home. She'd chosen carefully from Maria's donations, a simple blue dress that felt appropriate for the conversation ahead. Her hands shook as she rang the doorbell. Patricia answered in jeans and an orange sweater, reading glasses pushed atop her silver hair. "Jesus, come in. You sounded—" She paused, taking in the presentation. "Oh, hi," Jolie managed. "I go by Jolie now." To her credit, Patricia recovered quickly. "Jolie, please, come in. I just made coffee." They settled in Patricia's sunroom, surrounded by ferns and afternoon light. The older woman studied her former student, with professional interest mixed with personal warmth. "Tell me," she said simply. For the second time in 24 hours, Jolie unpacked her story. Patricia listened with the skill of a seasoned therapist, asking clarifying questions, never judging. When Jolie finished, they sat in comfortable silence. "I wondered," Patricia admitted. "There were signs during your training. The intensity of your interest in gender identity work, the way you'd tense up during certain discussions. Why didn't you say anything?" "Not my revelation to force, but I'm glad you're here now." She leaned forward. "What do you need from me?" "Guidance. I don't know how to navigate this professionally. My clients will benefit from your authenticity. Think about it, Jolie. Who better to guide them than someone who truly understands the journey?" They talked until sunset, Patricia sharing resources, recommending therapists who specialized in helping other therapists. She offered to supervise Jolie through the transition process, maintaining professional support. "Take your time," Patricia advised as Jolie prepared to leave. "There's no rush. Do this at your pace." But once started, the momentum felt unstoppable. Jolie began seeing the therapist Patricia recommended, a kind woman named Dr. Chen who created space for exploration without pressure. She started hormone therapy after careful consideration and medical consultation. The physical changes came slowly: skin softening, emotions intensifying, body shape gradually shifting, but the internal changes happened faster, a settling into herself, like finally exhaling after holding her breath for decades. Coming out to clients proved less dramatic than feared. She crafted a careful email explaining her transition, offering referrals for anyone uncomfortable continuing treatment. The responses overwhelmed her: support, gratitude, even celebration. "I knew," one long-term client said at their next session. "You're glowing now, really seeing you for the first time." Her practice evolved. New clients sought her out specifically because of her lived experience. She developed workshops on authentic living, spoke at conferences about late transition. The work felt more meaningful when grounded in personal truth. Maria became her fiercest ally, offering fashion advice and emotional support in equal measure. They established new boundaries. Jolie would ask before borrowing clothes. Maria would knock before entering. Their relationship deepened beyond mere siblinghood into chosen family. The wardrobe grew. Professional attire for work, silk scarves in jewel tones, tailored suits in navy and charcoal, always with feminine cuts. Casual clothes for weekends, jeans that fit properly, soft sweaters in lavender and rose. She developed her own style, classic with unexpected touches. 6 months into transition, Jolie stood before a judge in the county courthouse. She'd chosen her outfit carefully, a coral blazer over a cream shell, paired with a gray pencil skirt. Professional but bold, the coral a declaration of new beginnings. State your current legal name for the record. Jesus Roberto Martinez. And the name you're petitioning to adopt? Jolie Marie Martinez. She'd chosen Marie for their mother, gone 5 years now but surely smiling somewhere. Any objections from the state? The clerk shook his head. Petition granted. Congratulations, Ms. Martinez. The words rang through the courtroom like bells. Ms. Martinez, Jolie Marie Martinez, the person she'd always been, finally recognized. Maria waited in the hallway, bouncing with excitement. How does it feel? Like coming home. They celebrated with lunch at their favorite restaurant, the one with the patio overlooking the river. Jolie caught her reflection in the window, blonde hair now reaching her shoulders, styled in soft waves. The coral blazer bright against her skin, the smile genuine, reaching her eyes. Remember that first night? Maria asked over salad. In the green dress? Terrifying. Best thing that ever happened. Funny how the worst moments become turning points. Maria raised her water glass. To authenticity. To sisters who knock before entering. They laughed, glasses clinking in the afternoon sun. The work continued. Clients in the morning, her own therapy in the afternoon, hormone appointments monthly, voice coaching weekly. Each step forward felt like shedding old skin, revealing truth beneath. One morning, a new client arrived, young, nervous, fidgeting with the hem of a black t-shirt. "I think I might be trans," they whispered. "But I'm scared." Jolie leaned forward in her chair, the same mahogany desk between them, but everything different now. Her purple blouse caught the light from the Venetian blinds, the silk scarf at her neck a splash of teal. "Tell me about the fear," she said gently, "and then tell me about the hope." As the client began speaking, Jolie listened with her whole self, the self that understood fear and hiding, but also the profound joy of becoming. No longer guide and traveler on separate paths, but companions on the same journey. The afternoon light slanted through the blinds, painting golden stripes across the beige carpet. Outside, life continued its rhythm. Inside, transformation bloomed in the space between two people brave enough to seek their truth. When the session ended and the client left with resources and a follow-up appointment, Jolie sat quietly in her office. The leather furniture still smelled the same. The vanilla candle still flickered on the bookshelf. But everything had changed. She thought of that first moment in Maria's green dress, how the fabric had felt like permission, how white sandals could alter more than just posture, how terror and joy could coexist in the space of a heartbeat. Her phone buzzed. Maria, texting a photo from her latest work trip, a boutique in Portland with, "The perfect dress for you, buying it now." Jolie smiled, typing back, "Make sure it's green." The response came immediately. "Already in the bag. Love you, sister." Sister. The word that had always been true, finally spoken aloud. The next client would arrive soon. Jolie refreshed her lipstick, a subtle pink that complemented the purple blouse. She arranged her notepad, clicked her pen, prepared to hold space for another person's journey. Through the window, she watched people passing on the sidewalk below, each carrying their own stories, their own struggles toward authenticity. Once she'd observed from behind glass, separated by secrets. Now she walked among them, coral blazer bright in any crowd, truth worn like armor. The phone rang. Another new referral, another person seeking guidance. She scheduled the appointment, added it to her calendar, prepared to witness another transformation. But first, a moment of gratitude. For green dresses and patient sisters. For mentors who see without speaking. For clients who mirror courage back. For the terrifying, beautiful journey from Jesus to Jolie, from hiding to wholeness. The afternoon light shifted, painting new patterns on the wall. Time to prepare for the next session, the next story, the next step forward. Always forward, in white sandals or sensible flats, in coral blazers or silk scarves, always, finally, as herself. The work continued. Days blended into weeks, weeks into months. Each morning brought the ritual of choosing clothes that felt right. Sometimes the coral blazer for important meetings, sometimes a simple navy dress for regular sessions. The wardrobe had expanded beyond Maria's initial donations, each piece carefully selected to express the person Jolie had become. One Thursday, a familiar client settled into the leather chair, someone who'd been coming for 2 years, who'd witnessed the entire transition. "You look happy," they observed. "Really, genuinely happy." Jolie touched the jade necklace at her throat, a gift from Maria for her birthday. "I am. It makes a difference, seeing you live authentically. Makes the rest of us believe it's possible." These moments sustained her through the harder days, the insurance battles, the occasional hostile encounter, the family members who struggled with pronouns and names. Balance came from remembering why the journey mattered, not just for herself, but for everyone watching, learning, drawing courage from example. Patricia remained a steady presence, their monthly supervision sessions evolving from crisis management to celebration. They met at Patricia's home, tea and wisdom dispensed in equal measure. "Your practice has doubled," Patricia noted one afternoon, reviewing numbers. "Word spreads when someone does good work." "It's more than that." Jolie set down her teacup, choosing words carefully. "There's power in visible transition. Clients see the possibility embodied. The personal becomes professional, becomes political." Patricia smiled. "Your academic training shows." They discussed challenging cases, ethical considerations, the balance between disclosure and boundaries. Patricia's guidance remained invaluable, shaped by decades of experience and genuine care. "I have something for you," Patricia said as the session concluded. She produced a wrapped package, ribbon in Jolie's favorite shade of green. Inside, a leather-bound journal embossed with JMM in gold letters. "For documenting the journey," Patricia explained. "Your story matters. Consider writing it down." That evening, Jolie sat at her kitchen table, the journal open to its first blank page. Where to begin? The green dress? Earlier? The childhood memories of yellow fabric and forbidden lipstick? She began with truth. The afternoon light filtered through Venetian blinds. Writing became another form of therapy, processing experiences through narrative. The journal filled slowly, reflections on sessions, celebration of milestones, working through setbacks. Maria sometimes read passages, offering her perspective on shared memories. "You were always Jolie," she said one evening, returning the journal after reading about their childhood. "I just called you by the wrong name for too long." The legal transition was complete, medical transition progressing, social transition ongoing but smoother each day. Jolie moved through the world with increasing confidence, the coral blazer no longer armor, but simply a favorite piece of clothing. New challenges arose. Dating felt like uncharted territory, disclosure timing, safety considerations, the vulnerability of letting someone see all of her, not just the polished professional presentation. "Take your time," Dr. Chen advised during their session. "You're still becoming. Let yourself arrive first." Sound advice that Jolie passed along to clients navigating similar waters. The parallel journeys created deeper empathy, shared understanding that transcended typical therapeutic boundaries while maintaining professional ethics. 1 year after that first night in the green dress, Maria suggested a celebration. Nothing huge, she promised, just marking the milestone. They returned to the Riverside restaurant, same patio table. Jolie wore a new dress, emerald green with white flowers, custom tailored to fit perfectly. A deliberate echo of the beginning, but distinctly her own. "To 1 year of living," Maria toasted. "To sisters who share closets." Within reason. They laughed, remembering the negotiated boundaries, the cleared drawer in Maria's dresser for emergency borrowing, the shopping trips that had become bonding rituals. After lunch, they walked along the river path. Families fed ducks. Joggers passed in bright athletic wear. Ordinary afternoon scenes that felt extraordinary when lived authentically. "I keep thinking about Mom," Maria said suddenly. "How she would have loved to see you like this." Jolie nodded, throat tight. Their mother had passed before the transition, but surely she'd known. Mothers always knew. "Remember her green dress?" Maria continued. "The one with the bell sleeves? You loved it. She let me try it on once, when Dad was traveling. She kept it. It's in storage with her other things." They walked in companionable silence, processing memory and loss and continuity. The next weekend, they visited the storage unit together. The dress was there, carefully preserved, still smelling faintly of their mother's perfume. Jolie held it up to herself, mirror not needed to know it would fit. "She would have given it to me." "Take it," Maria urged. "She'd want you to have it." The dress joined Jolie's wardrobe, worn on special occasions when maternal presence felt needed, to the conference where she presented on therapeutic authenticity, to the holiday party where extended family slowly adjusted to changes, to quiet Sunday mornings when comfort mattered more than style. Life settled into new rhythms. Morning routines of skincare and styling, afternoon sessions with increasing wait lists, evening activities that had once felt impossible, book clubs, pottery classes, simple existence in public spaces without fear. The fear never fully disappeared, but transformed into reasonable caution. Jolie learned to read rooms, trust instincts, navigate safety with the skill her clients knew too well. The shared understanding deepened therapeutic connections. "You get it," became a common refrain. "Really get it." She did. The bone-deep exhaustion of hiding, the tentative joy of first expressions, the grief for lost time, the gratitude for time remaining. All of it lived in her body, informing every intervention, every moment of held space. 2 years after the green dress, Jolie received an invitation to speak at her graduate school, full circle to where the academic journey began, but now as herself. She chose the coral blazer, paired with a navy skirt and the jade necklace, professional polish with personal meaning. The lecture hall filled with students eager to hear from someone living their theoretical discussions. Jolie spoke about authenticity in therapeutic practice, the ethics of disclosure, the power of visible representation. Questions came eagerly, thoughtfully. "How do you handle clients who might be transphobic?" "Carefully," Jolie answered, "with boundaries and backup plans. But I found that most people respond to authenticity with authenticity. When we show up as ourselves, we invite others to do the same." After the talk, a young woman approached hesitantly. "I'm starting my internship next month. I'm also trans, but not out professionally yet." They found a quiet corner to talk. Jolie shared resources, strategies, the importance of support systems. Mostly, she listened, remembering her own graduate school fears. "It's possible," she assured the student. "Whatever path you choose, it's possible to thrive." Patricia attended the lecture, pride evident in her mentoring smile. They debriefed over dinner, discussing the growth from terrified student to confident lecturer. "You've become who you were meant to be," Patricia observed. "In every sense." The words echoed long after dinner ended. Becoming implied process, journey, rather than destination. Jolie appreciated the ongoing nature of identity, the daily choice to show up authentically. Client work remained the core of her practice. Individual sessions exploring gender and identity. Group workshops on authentic living. Consultation with other therapists navigating their own transitions. Each role fed the others, creating a professional life aligned with personal truth. Maria remained central to the support system. Their Thursday dinners became sacred time, sharing struggles and celebrations. Maria's own journey, choosing career over conventional expectations, defining success personally, paralleled Jolie's in different ways. "We're both rebels," Maria declared one evening. "Just different rebellions?" "To rebellion," Jolie toasted with her wineglass. "To choosing ourselves." The years accumulated gently. Hair grew longer, now reaching mid-back, usually styled in professional updos for work. The hormone changes completed their work. Softer features, redistributed weight, a body that finally felt like home. But the deeper changes mattered more. Confidence replacing fear, authenticity replacing performance, joy replacing mere survival. 5 years after the green dress, Jolie published her first article in a professional journal. Therapeutic Authenticity, a Trans Therapist's Journey, appeared in the Quarterly Review, sparking conversations and correspondence from colleagues worldwide. "I needed to read this," one email began. 20 years of practice, and I'm just now admitting my truth." She responded to each message personally, building networks of support across distances. The work expanded beyond individual practice to community building, advocacy through visibility rather than activism. The green dress still hung in her closet, joined by its maternal twin. Bookends to a journey that had no real ending, only continuous becoming. Some days, Jolie wore bold patterns and bright colors. Others called for subdued professionalism. The freedom to choose, to express, to simply be, this was the gift of transition. On quiet evenings, she sometimes pulled out the leather journal Patricia had given her, pages filled with reflections, struggles, victories large and small, the narrative of becoming Jolie, told in her own words. The afternoon light filtered through Venetian blinds. That first entry began. Now, years later, the light still filtered through those same blinds in her office. But everything else had changed. The woman behind the mahogany desk wore a purple silk blouse and pencil skirt, blonde hair swept into a French twist, jade earrings catching the light. When clients arrived, nervous, hopeful, scared, she greeted them as herself, fully present, professionally skilled, personally understanding. The work continued, each session a small revolution, each authentic moment a victory. The phone rang. Another referral, another person seeking support. Jolie scheduled the appointment, grateful for the opportunity to hold space, to witness another journey toward truth. Outside the window, life continued its endless rhythm. But inside the office, inside herself, peace had replaced the old restlessness. The woman in the coral blazer had found her home, not in clothes or names or bodies, but in the simple, radical act of being herself. The story had no neat ending because life offered none, only continuous becoming, daily choices. Small victories accumulating into a life well lived. Jolie Marie Martinez, therapist, sister, woman, human, all the identities woven into one authentic whole. She prepared for the next client, straightening the notepad, checking the time. Soon, another story would unfold in the leather chair, another person seeking their truth, finding courage in her visible journey. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.